I still remember the morning everything changed. It started like any normal workday, except it wasn't normal at all. I woke up late, my alarm didn't ring, and my heart was already beating fast before my feet touched the cold floor. Being a single mother meant I didn't have time to think, cry, or breathe. I always had to move. And that day I moved like the world was on fire. My daughter Lily was still sleeping beside me, her tiny hands wrapped around her little silver pendant, the one with the letters P engraved on it. She never slept without it. She never left the house without it. She guarded that pendant the way some kids guard their favorite toy. I didn't know its true importance back then. I didn't know it was the reason my life would twist in ways I never expected. I shook her gently. "Lily, sweetheart, wake up. Mommy is late." Her eyes opened slowly, big and innocent. She smiled at me, and it broke my heart how easily she trusted the world. I wished life had been kinder to her. Kinder to both of us. We didn't have time for breakfast. I grabbed a granola bar for her, a cold cup of coffee for myself, and rushed out of the apartment. The winter wind cut through my thin coat like a knife. My hands shook as I held Lily close, trying to shield her from the cold. "Mommy, it's freezing," she whispered. "I know, baby. I'm sorry. Just a few minutes. We'll get warm soon." I was already late for my job at Hale Industries, the biggest company in the city. The kind of place where everyone walked like their hearts were made of steel. The kind of place where one mistake could cost you everything. And the CEO, Nathan Hale, he was the coldest of them all. Just thinking about him made my stomach twist. But that day I didn't have a choice. My babysitter canceled an hour earlier. I couldn't find anyone else. If I didn't go to work, I would lose my job. If I lost my job, I would lose rent. And if I lost rent, I didn't even want to think about it. As I waited for the bus, the wind pushed against us so hard Lily buried her face into my coat. I hugged her tightly. "I'm sorry, Lily. I know it's hard." She didn't complain. She never did. She was stronger than most adults I knew. When the bus arrived, we squeezed into the last seat. My mind kept racing, my boss, my work, the CEO's strict rules, the fact that I had a child with me. Everything was wrong. Everything felt dangerous. By the time we reached the tall glass building of Hale Industries, my heart felt like it might explode. People in suits walked past us, looking at me like I didn't belong there. Maybe I didn't, but I needed the job. I carried Lily in my arms as we entered the lobby. The marble floor reflected the bright white lights. It was beautiful, expensive, cold, like a place where no mistakes were allowed. The receptionist, Megan, raised an eyebrow. Her eyes dropped to Lily, then back to me. "You brought your child," she whispered sharply. "I had no choice today," I whispered back. "You know the rules. If Mr. Hale sees—" "I know," I said quickly, my voice cracking. Everyone feared Nathan Hale. He was known for firing people without warning. Known for having no emotions, no softness, nothing human behind his perfect suit and icy eyes. I just prayed he wouldn't see Lily. I held Lily's hand tightly as we rushed toward the elevator. My whole plan was to keep her hidden in my small assistant cubicle and hope nobody noticed. But fate had different plans. The elevator doors were closing when someone called, "Hold it." I pressed the button to keep the doors open. A group of senior employees stepped in. All of them stared at Lily. One man whispered to another, "She's breaking the rules." I swallowed hard. Please don't report me." On the 42nd floor, I stepped out quickly, pulling Lily behind me. My cubicle was small and tucked in a corner. I carefully helped Lily sit on my chair. "Stay here, sweetheart. Don't talk to anyone. Don't move around. Just draw on this paper, okay?" She nodded calmly, pulling out her crayons from her tiny backpack. I took a deep breath and started typing emails as fast as I could. Maybe, just maybe, today would pass quietly. But then I heard footsteps. Heavy ones. Slow ones. The kind that made the whole office go silent. I froze. Everyone stood straighter. Conversations died instantly. Only one man had that effect. Nathan Hale. Why was he on this floor? He never came here. He always stayed in his private office at the top floor. My heart raced. I quickly stood up, blocking his view of my cubicle where Lily sat. He walked closer and closer. People nodded respectfully, fearfully. His presence was like sharp ice. Tall. Perfect suit. expression colder than winter, eyes that saw everything. And those eyes landed on me. "Is there a problem, Miss Carter?" he asked, his voice low and controlled. "No, sir," I said quickly, my palms sweating. "Everything is fine." He looked past me, and that's when it happened. His eyes landed on Lily, then on the pendant resting on her chest. He stopped moving. The entire office held its breath. His face changed. His eyes widened. His jaw tightened. And for the first time, Nathan Hale, one of the most feared men in the city, looked like he had seen a ghost. My heartbeat thudded loudly in my ears. Why was he staring like that? Why was he looking at my daughter like he knew her? Then he whispered, barely audible, "Where did she get that pendant?" I blinked. "What?" Before I could answer, he stepped closer, his cold expression melting into something I had never seen on him. Fear, shock, pain. "This pendant," he murmured. "I've seen it before." Then he looked straight into my eyes. "Miss Carter, who is this child?" I felt my entire body freeze. Why was he asking that? Why did he care? What did he know? I swallowed hard and said, "She's my daughter." He stared at Lily with an intensity that scared me. Then he whispered something that sent chills down my spine. "That pendant. It belongs to someone I lost a long time ago." My breath caught. What was he talking about? Why did my daughter's pendant matter so much? He took another step closer, voice shaking slightly. Something I never thought possible for him. "Emily, I need to know where she got that pendant." Lily looked up at him with innocent eyes and touched the pendant gently. "My aunt gave it to me," she said softly. The moment those words left her mouth, Nathan's face turned completely pale. His hand trembled. And suddenly I knew. This wasn't a normal workday. This wasn't a coincidence. Something connected my daughter to this powerful man in a way I had never imagined. But I didn't know what. Not yet. I just knew life would never be the same. When Nathan finally spoke again, his voice was low, slow, and full of something dark. "Emily, I need to tell you something about your daughter. About that pendant. And about the woman who gave it to her." My breath stopped. My pulse screamed. The ground beneath me felt like it was breaking. Because I could feel it. This was only the beginning. The beginning of secrets I didn't know existed. The beginning of truths that would shake everything I believed. The beginning of a story that would change our lives forever. And I wasn't ready. Not at all. But fate didn't care. Because Nathan Hale, the man who felt nothing, was staring at my daughter like she was the key to a past he never escaped. And in that moment I realized, our lives were about to collide in ways none of us could control. For a long moment I couldn't speak. I just stood there, staring at Nathan Hale as he stared at my daughter, like she was the answer to a question he had been searching for. The office around us had fallen silent. People pretended to work, but their eyes kept flicking toward us, sensing something unusual, something heavy. I swallowed hard. My voice came out weaker than I wanted. "Sir, why does her pendant matter so much?" Nathan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he crouched down slowly so he was on Lily's level. I had never seen him do that. Not with employees, not with children, not with anyone. His hands rested on his knees, but even from where I stood, I could see they were trembling. He pointed gently to the pendant. "May I?" he asked Lily. She looked at me. I nodded, even though my heart felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. Lily lifted the pendant with her tiny fingers. Nathan's eyes followed the movement with such painful focus that it almost hurt to watch him. "This," he whispered. "I haven't seen it in years." Lily blinked at him. "It was my Aunt Sarah's," she said softly. When she said the name Sarah, something inside Nathan seemed to crack. His jaw clenched. His breath hitched. And for a second, he closed his eyes like he was remembering something he wished he could forget. I felt the panic rising in my throat. Why was this happening? Why was the CEO of a massive company kneeling in front of my daughter, looking like he was about to break? "Sir, please," I said, trying to pull Lily closer. "You're scaring her." Nathan stood slowly, straightening his suit, trying to hide the storm inside him. But his voice still held that trembling edge when he spoke. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't mean to frighten either of you. It's just unexpected." He looked around the office. Too many eyes. Too much attention. I could tell he hated this, showing emotion in public. "Ms. Carter," he finally said, "I need to speak to you privately." My heart dropped. That sentence usually meant only one thing in this building: firing. I felt sick. "Sir, please, if this is about me bringing my daughter." He cut me off gently but firmly. "It's not about that. Just follow me." He walked toward the elevator without waiting for my answer. My legs felt heavy like they were made of stone. I took Lily's hand. "Mommy, did I do something bad?" she asked in a small voice.
No, sweetheart, he whispered.
"You did nothing wrong." But the truth was, I didn't know if I believed my own words. We followed Nathan into a private elevator, the one nobody used except him. I had never stepped inside it before. The doors closed behind us, trapping us with him in a small, silent space. Nathan stared straight ahead, but I could see his reflection in the mirror lining of the elevator. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched by his sides. Only one thought ran through my mind. What does he know about Sarah? What does he know about my family? When the elevator stopped, it opened into his private office floor. It felt like stepping into another world, quiet, expensive, untouched. The carpet was soft, the lights warm, and everything smelled like polished wood. He gestured for us to enter his office. I sat on the edge of the leather chair, Lily on my lap, holding my hand tightly. Nathan stood by the window, staring out at the city far below. Finally, he spoke. "Miss Carter. Emily, before I ask you anything, I need you to know something. I'm not angry.
I'm surprised.
Shocked, actually." I tried to steady my voice. "Surprised about what?" He turned slowly toward us. His eyes looked softer than I had ever seen them. "That pendant," he said quietly. "I gave one exactly like it to someone I cared about. Someone I lost." My breath froze. "You gave the same pendant to someone?" He nodded. "Her name was..." He stopped, swallowing hard. "Her name was Sarah." My whole body went numb. "Sarah," I repeated in a whisper. "My daughter's Aunt Sarah?" Nathan stared at me like the world had tilted. "You knew her." I felt my voice break. "She was my older sister." A silence so heavy filled the room that even Lily looked up, sensing the tension. Nathan dragged a hand through his hair. "I didn't know she had a sister. She never told me." "She never told me about you either," I said quietly. "Not once." Nathan exhaled shakily. "I met her years ago. She was bright, full of life, and she changed me. But she left suddenly. She disappeared without a word. I searched for her. For months. I never found her. My heart ached. She disappeared. She never told him she left. She never told me where she went either." "Sir," I whispered, "Sarah died. Years ago. It was an accident." Nathan's eyes closed. Pain flooded his face, real and raw. He took a moment before speaking, and when he did, his voice was low. "I didn't know," he whispered. "Nobody told me." I blinked back tears. "We didn't know she had someone in her life. She never mentioned you." Nathan walked slowly toward us, stopping a few feet away. His voice became softer. "Emily, may I ask when Lily was born?" Fear shot through me. Why was he asking that? Why did he care? "She's 6, I said carefully. Nathan nodded slowly, as if calculating something in his mind. Something important. Something dangerous. Then he asked the one question I never expected. "And where was Sarah 6 years ago?" My heart dropped. I don't know," I said honestly. "She wasn't living with us anymore. She sent letters sometimes, but she never told us where she stayed." Nathan breathed sharply, taking one step back. "Lily looks like her," he whispered. "She has her eyes. Her smile." I hugged Lily tighter. "Sir, what are you trying to say?" He didn't answer. Instead, he sat down across from us, like his legs couldn't carry him anymore. "Emily, I need you to understand something," he said, his voice trembling. "I didn't know Sarah had a child. If I did..." I cut him off quickly. "She isn't Sarah's daughter. She's mine." He looked relieved for 1 second, then confused again. "But the pendant, Sarah had one just like it. Why would she give it to your daughter?" "I don't know," I said honestly. She gave it to Lily when she was just a baby. She said it would protect her, that it meant something important. Nathan stared at the pendant again, eyes narrowing with deep pain and memories. That pendant, he whispered, was something we created together. It stood for a promise neither of us kept. Lily touched the pendant, watching Nathan with curious eyes. Are you okay? She asked him softly. He gave her a small smile, his first real smile, and I couldn't believe it. Nathan Hale, the cold CEO, smiling at a child. No, sweetheart, he said gently. I'm not okay. But I will be. He looked at me again. Emily, I need to know everything you can tell me about Sarah. Everything you remember. Every detail. Even the small ones. I shook my head. Why? Why does it matter after all these years? Nathan lowered his voice. Because there are things about Sarah's disappearance. Things you don't know. Things I was never able to prove. My breath stalled. What things? I whispered. He leaned forward. Sarah didn't leave me, he said quietly. She was forced to leave. Someone made her disappear. And I think that same person might have something to do with her accident. My blood turned cold. Her accident? I repeated. You think someone caused it? He nodded slowly. Yes, he said. And that person is still in this company. My entire world began to spin. Lily pressed her cheek against my chest, sensing my tension. I took a shaky breath. Sir, why are you telling me this? His eyes locked onto mine. Because you and your daughter might be connected to a truth that someone tried very hard to bury. And if they find out Lily has that pendant, they won't ignore it. Fear slammed into me. What do you mean? I whispered. Nathan's face hardened. I mean, you're not safe, Emily. Not anymore. The room felt too small. The air felt too thin. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. I don't understand, I said. Nathan stood up with a heavy breath. You don't have to understand right now, but you need to trust me. I stared at him, unsure, afraid, confused. Why would I trust you? I asked. He answered softly. Because I loved your sister. Because I failed her once. And I won't fail her family again. His voice carried a weight that made me believe he meant every word. But fear still held my heart like a fist. What happens now? I whispered. Nathan looked down at Lily's pendant. The tiny silver symbol that started all of this. Now, he said, I find out who took Sarah away from me. And I make sure they never hurt you or your daughter. I held Lily close as a chill crawled up my spine. I didn't know what we had stepped into. I didn't know how deep the secrets went. All I knew was that the man I feared the most suddenly became the only one who might protect us. And that terrified me even more. For the next few seconds, none of us moved. Nathan stood near his desk, staring at the city skyline as if the answers were hidden somewhere between the clouds. I sat frozen in my chair, holding Lily like someone might try to take her from me at any moment. The silence was so heavy it felt like a weight pressing down on my chest. Finally, I found my voice. What do you mean we're not safe? I whispered. Nathan turned slowly. His eyes were sharp again, not cold but alert, like someone who knew danger too well. Emily, he said quietly, I need you to trust me when I say this. There are things about this company you don't know. Things about certain people here. His voice lowered. And those people would do anything to keep their secrets hidden. A chill ran through my spine. What does that have to do with my sister? With Lily? Nathan walked closer. The pendant your daughter has. Sarah kept it with her always. It meant everything to her. And the moment I saw it today, I knew something wasn't right. I clutched the pendant gently so it wouldn't swing. It's just jewelry, I whispered, trying to convince myself. But Nathan shook his head slowly. No, it's not. I swallowed. Then what is it? He paused, searching for words. It's a symbol. A code. A key. My heart jumped. A key to what? To what happened to Sarah, he said. My arms tightened around Lily protectively. I could feel her heartbeat against my chest, small, steady, innocent. She didn't understand, but she could sense the fear. Nathan sat down across from us. Emily, there's something you need to hear. Something I've never told anyone. I waited, breath held. When Sarah and I were together, She discovered something about the company. Something dangerous. She found evidence that someone in a high position was embezzling money and hiding illegal transactions. She wanted me to confront them, but... His voice cracked slightly. I didn't believe her. I thought she misunderstood. I didn't know she was right. I stared at him. This was bigger than I expected. Nathan, did you ever find proof? He shook his head. By the time I realized she was telling the truth, she had already vanished. My throat tightened. You think someone here made her disappear? Yes, he said firmly. And I think they were afraid she would expose them. I felt sick. But Sarah's accident, it wasn't connected to work. That's what you were told, Nathan said sharply. But I never believed it. Not for 1 second. I felt like the room was spinning. Everything I thought I knew about my sister. Everything I believed was falling apart. Nathan continued, voice controlled but shaking underneath. That pendant, Sarah wore it the night she disappeared. If she gave it to Lily before her death, it means she knew someone was coming after her. She wanted the pendant hidden. Safe. I looked down at the little silver charm around Lily's neck. It suddenly felt heavier, darker, dangerous. What's inside it? I asked quietly. I don't know, Nathan admitted. But it's not just decoration. It's hollow. There's something sealed inside. My heart jumped. Inside? Something important. Yes. Lily tugged my sleeve. Mommy, why are you scared? I kissed her forehead. I'm not, baby. I'm right here. Nathan leaned forward. Emily, listen carefully. If the wrong person sees that pendant, they might think you have whatever evidence Sarah left. Fear jolted through me. But I don't. I don't know anything. He nodded. I know. But they don't. Suddenly there was a soft knock on the office door. Nathan stiffened instantly. His eyes went cold. Alert. Come in, he said, his voice shifting into CEO mode. Controlled, unreadable. The door opened. It was Evelyn Carter, the company's vice president. Tall, elegant, intimidating. Her heels clicked sharply as she entered. But it wasn't her presence that chilled me. It was the way Nathan's entire body changed the moment he saw her. Like he wanted to hide something. Like he didn't trust her. Is everything all right? Evelyn asked smoothly. Her eyes flicked to me, then Lily. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I heard there was an incident on the 42nd floor. My heartbeat punched against my ribs. Nathan gave her a tight smile. Everything is under control. Evelyn glanced at the pendant around Lily's neck. She looked at it longer than necessary. Too long. Too curious. Her smile sharpened. Pretty necklace. I swallowed hard. Lily grabbed the pendant instinctively and pulled it close. Nathan stepped slightly in front of us. Evelyn, we're in the middle of something important. Can this wait? She tilted her head like she didn't believe him. Of course. I just wanted to check. But her eyes stayed on Lily a second too long. Then she turned and left. The moment the door closed, Nathan exhaled, sharp, angry. Emily, listen to me, he said urgently. You need to stay away from her. My hands trembled. Who is she? Nathan rubbed his forehead. Someone who knows too much. Someone who might have been involved with the things Sarah discovered. My breath caught. She saw the pendant, I whispered. Yes, he said. And that's not good. I held Lily tighter. Nathan, what do we do? He paced the room for a moment, thinking fast. Then he stopped and looked at me with a seriousness that made my stomach drop. Emily, I need to get that pendant opened. I need to know what's inside it. But we can't do it here. Not in the building. Not with Evelyn watching. Where then? I asked nervously. At my private residence, he said. Tonight. My eyes widened. To your home? Nathan. Isn't that dangerous? What if someone follows us? He shook his head. My security system is better than any place in the city. If anyone is watching you, and I believe they are. My home is the safest place for you and Lily. The idea terrified me. Going to the CEO's mansion with my daughter? It sounded insane. But staying here, knowing someone might come after the pendant after us, was even worse. Nathan. I don't know, he stepped closer. His voice softened but the urgency stayed. Emily, please. Sarah trusted you enough to leave that pendant with you. Let me trust you to help me find the truth. I looked down at Lily. Her pendant glowed softly in the office light, unaware of the danger it carried. I took a shaky breath. Okay, we'll go. Nathan nodded once, relief flickering across his face. But before he could say more, his office phone rang sharply. He glanced at the caller ID, and his face darkened. It's her, he muttered. Evelyn. He ignored the call, letting it ring. Then he turned back to us. We need to leave this building quietly.
No elevators.
No front lobby. Fear prickled my skin. Why are we sneaking out? Because, Nathan said quietly, if Sarah's killer is still watching, they already know you exist. A cold wave hit me. Then we're in danger right now, I whispered. Nathan nodded slowly. Yes. Which is why we're leaving now. He grabbed his coat, motioned for us to follow, and opened a hidden door behind a bookshelf, revealing a private exit I never knew existed. As we stepped inside the dim hallway, I felt Lily grip my hand like a lifeline. Nathan, I whispered. What if someone stops us? He looked over his shoulder, his expression dark and serious. Then, he said, I'll protect you. No matter what. We walked quietly through the long corridor, the air cold and heavy. Somewhere above us, phones rang, keyboards clicked, and the normal world continued. But our world had changed. Our lives had just stepped into a shadow where secrets lived. And I could feel it. We weren't walking away from danger. We were walking straight into it. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw two things. My daughter's pendant shining under the office lights, and Ethan's face when he saw it. That shock. That fear. That impossible recognition. I woke up before the alarm. My body was tired, but my mind was already racing. I kept asking myself the same questions again and again. Why did he freeze? What did he see? Why did he look like he wanted to speak but stopped himself? And most importantly, what does he know about my daughter? I tried brushing those thoughts away as I made breakfast, but they clung to me like heavy fog. Lily hummed while eating her cereal, happy and bright as if nothing unusual had happened yesterday. Mommy, are we going to your office again today? She asked with a little bounce in her voice. I hesitated. My instinct wanted to say no. Something about yesterday felt dangerous. Like I had walked into a room full of hidden wires and one wrong step would explode everything. But I also needed money. I needed this job. And Lily needed food, rent, school, life. Yes, baby, I said finally. We're going again today. But you have to stay close to me, okay? She nodded and smiled, swinging her feet. She didn't understand. She didn't see the storm forming around us. I did. When we reached the office building, I felt a strange heaviness in the air. The receptionist, Julia, smiled politely at me, but her eyes drifted to Lily with a curious look, as if she had heard something or someone had asked about us. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I wasn't. I swallowed hard and walked to my desk. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. I could feel eyes following me. I could feel whispers behind me. The usual office noise seemed slower, quieter, like the whole floor was waiting for something to happen. And then the elevator doors opened. He stepped out. Ethan Walker, the millionaire CEO with a face that rarely showed emotion. But right now he wasn't hiding anything. His eyes searched the entire floor until they landed on me. And then on Lily. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe. He just stared. A tight knot formed in my chest. I stood up quickly, placing a protective hand on my daughter's shoulder as she colored quietly beside my desk. Can I speak to you in my office? Ethan asked, but his voice wasn't its usual calm tone. It was softer, almost unsure. People turned their heads. They had never heard him speak like that. My throat felt dry. My daughter is with me. She can come too, he said immediately. His answer made my heart beat faster. Why would he want that? Why was he being so gentle with her? Every instinct told me to run. Every responsibility told me to stay. I nodded slowly. Okay. We followed him down the hall, Lily holding my hand. Ethan walked slower than usual, as if he didn't want her to rush or trip. He kept glancing back at her, his expression unreadable but definitely emotional. When we entered his office, he closed the door gently, too gently for a man known for slamming doors when stressed. He turned toward us, took a deep breath, and pointed to the couch. "Please sit," he said. Lily sat beside me. Ethan stayed standing, clearly struggling with something inside himself. His eyes kept drifting to Lily's pendant, the same pendant that caused everything yesterday. Finally he spoke. "That necklace. Where did you get it?" My heart dropped. I knew this question was coming. I just didn't think it would come so soon. "It belonged to someone," I said carefully. "Someone from my past." He swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. "Who?" I froze. He was not just asking out of curiosity. He was asking like a man who already knew the answer. Like a man who was terrified to hear it confirmed. "I don't want to talk about that," I whispered. Ethan closed his eyes for a second, fighting something inside him. When he opened them again, they were full of emotion I didn't understand. "I knew someone," he said slowly. "A very long time ago. Someone who owned the exact same pendant." My breath got stuck in my throat. "I don't know what connection you're thinking," I murmured. "But that pendant is not just a pendant," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "It's custom. Only one pair was ever made." My pulse raced. "Pair? A pair of pendants?" Before I could ask, Lily suddenly looked up from her drawing. "My pendant is from my daddy," she said simply. My heart stopped. I never told her to say that. I never told her anything about him. She only knew that one sentence because she heard me cry once years ago, and I whispered it into my pillow. Ethan's entire body went still. The room froze. His eyes moved slowly, painfully slowly, from Lily to me. And in that moment I realized something terrifying. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't confused. He wasn't even surprised. He already knew. He just needed to hear it from someone else. His voice came out low, almost trembling as he whispered, "Who is her father?" The air felt too heavy to breathe. My hands began to shake. My worst fear, the truth I buried for years, was finally standing in front of me. Ethan Walker wasn't asking like a CEO. He was asking like a man who feared the answer would destroy him. I gripped Lily's hand and tried to speak, but no words came out, because deep down I already knew. This moment was the beginning of a truth I wasn't ready to face. And I could see in Ethan's eyes. He was absolutely sure he was connected to her. Maybe more than I ever imagined. I could hear my own heartbeat. It sounded so loud in the silent office that I wondered if Ethan could hear it too. He stood in front of me waiting. Not as a CEO, not as a powerful man, but as someone fighting a truth he wasn't sure he wanted. I opened my mouth to speak, but my throat tightened. My hands were shaking, and I could feel Lily leaning gently against me, unaware of the storm around us. Ethan took one slow step closer. "Please," he whispered. "Tell me." His voice was raw. The kind of voice someone uses when they're afraid of losing something important. I looked down at my daughter. Her tiny fingers were still drawing on the corner of her paper, peaceful and happy. She didn't understand the weight of this moment. She didn't know the man in front of us might be the key to everything I had tried to leave behind. I took a deep breath. "Her father," my voice cracked. "Her father left before she was born." Ethan flinched slightly, as if the words hit him physically. "And he never came back," I continued, forcing myself to stay calm. "So I stopped waiting for him." The room fell completely silent. Ethan's eyes softened, filled with guilt I didn't understand. "Did you ever try to find him?" he asked quietly. I stiffened. That question was dangerous. Too close. Too targeted. "I tried," I said. "But he didn't want to be found." Ethan dropped his gaze, his jaw tightening. He looked like he was fighting memories he didn't want to face. Then he whispered something that sent a chill through me. "What if he didn't know?" My breath hitched. He lifted his eyes again, and the pain in them was unmistakable. "What if he never had the chance to know?" he said slowly. "What if he wanted to stay, but something kept him away?" Why was he talking like this? Why was he speaking as if he was the one who disappeared? As if he understood the guilt of leaving? A sudden knock on the office door made me jump. Ethan quickly wiped the emotion from his face, switching back to the CEO expression in one blink. "Come in," he said sharply. His assistant Daniel walked in holding a folder. But he stopped when he saw us, especially Lily. "Sir," Daniel said carefully, "you asked me to bring this immediately." He handed Ethan the folder. Ethan took it but didn't open it yet. His eyes shifted between me and Daniel, and I sensed tension, something unspoken. "Is there anything else?" Ethan asked. Daniel's gaze lingered on Lily for a second too long. "No, sir," he said, and quietly left the office. As soon as the door closed, Ethan exhaled slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I'm sorry," he said. "Today has been complicated." I didn't respond. I was still watching him, still trying to understand the strange look Daniel gave Lily. Ethan sat down slowly on the couch across from us. He placed the folder on the table but didn't open it. Instead, he looked at Lily again. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She smiled.
I'm Lily.
His face softened completely, like ice melting under sunlight. "That's a beautiful name," he whispered. Lily giggled, then held up her drawing. "Look, I drew you." He froze as she handed him the paper. It was a simple child's drawing. Him standing with a big office window behind him, and beside him, a small girl. He stared at it for a long moment. Something in him broke. He swallowed hard, blinking fast as if trying to steady himself. I felt panic rising in me again. Everything was getting too close. Too dangerous. Too familiar. "I think we should go," I said quickly. Ethan looked up, panic flashing in his eyes. "Wait, please. Just a few more minutes." "I have work to finish," I lied. "You can finish it later," he said, his voice tense. "I need to talk to you." I stood up anyway. But before I could take Lily's hand, Ethan finally opened the folder on the table. He turned it toward me. My blood went cold, because inside the folder was a picture. A picture I never expected to see. It was old, faded, but I recognized it instantly. A photo from years ago. A photo of me. Younger. Happier. Standing outside a small diner I once worked at. And beside me was him. Ethan. I gasped, my hand flying to my mouth. He looked at me with a mixture of hurt and hope. "You know me," he said quietly. "You knew me before I even became CEO." My knees felt weak. Why do you have this?" I whispered. "Because," he said, voice trembling, "I've spent years looking for you." The room spun. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear anything else. He knew me. He remembered me. He searched for me. And the pendant, the way he froze when he saw Lily. Everything suddenly made sense. He wasn't confused. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't suspicious. He already knew. And now he was waiting for the truth I had been terrified to face. The truth I could no longer hide. But before I could say anything, Lily tugged my hand and whispered, "Mommy, why is he looking at me like that?" I had no answer. Because the look in Ethan's eyes was the look of a man staring at something he'd lost and somehow found again. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The photo on the table felt like a doorway opening into a past I had locked away years ago. The past I told myself to forget. The past I built my whole new life on. I stared at younger me in that picture, smiling, hopeful, and standing next to Ethan before he became someone unreachable. Before everything went wrong. Ethan finally broke the silence. "I never stopped looking for you," he said softly. "Not a single day." My knees felt weak, so I slowly sat down again. Lily climbed into my lap, sensing the heaviness in the room even if she didn't understand it. "I don't understand," I whispered. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. "You disappeared. One day you were there, the next day you were gone. No note. No message. Nothing." I felt my chest tighten. He remembered everything. He remembered me. He remembered us. "You don't know what happened," I said quietly. "Then tell me," he said, leaning forward. "Please. I deserve to know." I closed my eyes, trying to find courage. But the truth was messy, painful, and revealing it would change everything for all of us. "When I found out I was pregnant," I began slowly, "I waited for you. I waited every single night. But you never came." Ethan's eyes widened. He looked like the ground had been ripped out from under him. "That's not possible," he whispered. "I came to see you that night. I went to the diner." I shook my head. You never showed up. I waited for hours. He stared at me. Confused, heartbroken, angry, but not at me, at something else. No, he said, almost to himself. No, that can't be right. I left my apartment early. I took a cab. I was coming to tell you something important. What important thing? I asked. He swallowed hard. That I wanted a life with you. My breath caught. I remembered that night. How I waited. How I told myself he chose someone else. How I packed my bags because I had no one, no money, no support, and a baby growing inside me. What happened to you that night, Ethan? I asked. He lowered his head, thinking, really thinking. Then suddenly the moment hit him. His eyes widened with shock. The accident, he whispered. My pulse spiked. What accident? I was in a crash, he said, voice shaking. A drunk driver ran a red light. My cab flipped. I was unconscious. I woke up in a hospital the next morning. I froze. He looked up at me with raw pain in his eyes. I didn't show up because I couldn't, he said. And when I finally got out, you were gone. My heart felt like it split open. All those years of thinking he abandoned me, thinking he didn't care, thinking he walked away. But he didn't leave. He simply never made it to me. I covered my mouth with my hand, trying not to cry. I didn't know, I whispered. I didn't know any of that. He shook his head slowly, tears forming in his eyes. I tried to find you. Every lead was a dead end. Then I found this photo again months later. And after that, nothing. No trace of you anywhere. My voice trembled. I moved far away. I changed jobs. I hid. I thought you didn't want us. He leaned forward, desperate. I would have wanted everything, he said. You, her, our life, everything. My tears finally fell. So did his. And in the middle of our broken history, Lily looked between us, clueless but curious. Mommy, why are you crying? She asked softly. I hugged her tighter, unable to answer. But Ethan did. He knelt in front of her, his voice shaking. Lily, he said gently, may I ask you something? She nodded with her innocent little smile. Do you know who your father is? He asked. She looked thoughtful for a moment. Then she shook her head. No. Mommy said he wasn't here. Ethan's face twisted with pain, but he kept his voice calm and warm. He reached into his pocket and pulled something out, something small and silver. My breath caught when I saw it. It was a pendant. The matching pendant. The other half of the pair. Lily's eyes widened at it, drawn to its shine. He placed it gently on the table next to her pendant. 2 pieces. 2 halves. 2 lost stories finally touching again. I felt my heart stop. Lily whispered, that looks like mine. Ethan swallowed hard. That's because, he said softly. They were made together. One for someone I loved, and one for the child I dreamed of having someday. My breath shattered. Lily looked at him in surprise. For a child? Like me? Ethan nodded slowly, tears slipping down his face. Yes, he whispered. Like you. There was no more hiding. No more running. No more pretending. He looked straight at me, not as a CEO, not as a stranger, but as the man I once loved. The truth is already here, he said. I think you know it. I think you've known it for a long time. My hand shook. Lily stared at both of us, waiting. And Ethan's voice broke as he spoke the words that changed everything. I think. I'm her father. The room seemed to collapse into silence. My heart thundered. Lily's eyes widened. Everything I feared, everything I avoided, everything I buried for years, was finally standing in the open. And nothing could ever go back to the way it was.